What is going on, everyone? Tim from Tierfon Orbital. So today's demo video is going to be relatively in-depth. It's going to be for the KR Sabers Graflex replica. This replica in particular was sent to me by the customer for install. This is in Empire Strikes Back configuration, right? Yeah, ESB configuration, right? So as with all hilts that I get from KR Sabers, this one is fantastically machined. It's very well made. It looks great. It looks accurate. However, from an installer standpoint, one of the things that I absolutely love about these kits is their installability, right? So Cal and everybody over at KR Sabers really put a lot of thought into not only making a hilt that looks accurate, looks film accurate, but is also very friendly for install, right? So this hilt has got an upper switch blade holder section, that makes creating a chassis, really easy. Not only is there a lot of room in these hilts, right, but it also makes it really easy for the switches, right? So one of the things about installing a Graflex replica is the switches. We've got this side slider switch here that's always a pain to get wired up, and then of course your red button up top. So what Cal has done is created a machined inner sleeve or core that already has switch PCBs that he designed in-house that make those switches really, really easy to wire up, very responsive, very reliable. So it's just a great, great kit, right? And he offers it in a couple of configurations. There's a New Hope version, there's an Empire version, and recently Cal has also released an MPP. That is absolutely fantastic. I actually ended up picking one up because I don't have, I'm ashamed to admit, I don't have an MPP in my collection, and being an original trilogy guy, I should have one, right? So I picked one up during his May 4th sale, and that is the same, right? Same level of detail, same level of machining, and it has those that custom-made upper section with those switches that are really, really easy to wire up and use, right? As with most things, in fact, I've never had a hilt come across my desk from KR Sabers, from Saber Armory, that wasn't fantastic. It's always just a great, great product, right? So anyhow, I went about designing a reveal chassis for this install. The customer for this install did have a couple of requests. They did want an OLED in this, and of course brass greeblies and brass parts. So we are going, oh, and the other request was to have a 31 millimeter KR Sabers speaker in this, right? So it's a 31 millimeter speaker from the Saber Armory. KR Sabers and the Saber Armory are the same entity. But anyhow, that was one of the requests for this install. Now, there's so much room inside of Graflex. I almost dropped the chassis off my desk. So much room inside of the Graflex that, a 31 millimeter speaker is definitely possible. There's like 35 mils on the inside of this. So you can still fully enclose that 31 millimeter speaker and get a significant amount of sound output from it. So anyhow, with all of that out of the way, why don't we come into Fusion and take a look at this chassis really quick, and then we will come up top. So here we are. Here is the chassis this is the OLED variant of this chassis. I do have a crystal reveal chassis that will be coming soon. It's actually in production right now. So I've done a crystal reveal chassis. Same like footprint as this one, but it will be coming soon. So anyhow, here's the chassis, all right? So I went about designing not only a board cover, right, around back here, but there is a battery cover as well. Again, there's just so much room on the inside of this hilt that you can really, really spread your wings and get a lot done, right? So we've got a large battery cover here. Now the reason that this battery cover stops at this lip is because the hilt, does step down as you slide this upper section into that switch PCB, that machined switch PCB section that I'd mentioned earlier, right? So that's why that battery cover kind of stops there. This was a little bit tricky to design for, right? But anyhow, greebly work on that battery cover. Around back, we've got a board cover. I did design some tube work to go onto this chassis as well, right? Now, I thought about like bending some brass rod and tube myself but there was just no way I would have been able to do that multiple times and have them all the same dimensions, the same, you know, specifications. So I designed these and just had them printed in brass, right? Another thing that was a little bit tricky was getting these tubes to hug this radius, right? So it's easy to make a tube that's just kind of an L shape, right? But to make a tube that hugs the body of the chassis around that radius was a little bit tricky. These tubes also, let me grab one of these. So these tubes do sit inside of little holders. I did that just to help line the tubes up. I also wanted to have a spot that I could epoxy or glue these tubes into. Like I didn't want to have a bead of super glue going down the whole chassis, right? That could be a little ugly, right? So I've got little indentations where these tubes will sit, okay? And then as for this one, it does slide inside of a hole here and right here as well, right? And that's where I glue them in place. The board cover is here. Underneath that board cover is where our Proffie board will sit, right? So the Proffie board will slide up underneath this lip and pull forward into these forks. The board cover is held in place with some neodymium magnets. Underneath the board is a kill switch. So I've got a kill switch here. Down below, let's talk about that KR Sabers speaker. So this giant speaker, again, you've got so much room inside of a Graflex, so you can still enclose a 31mm speaker. So that tells you how much space you have to play around with. The speakers that come from the Saber Armory are a little bit different. Like typically, you know, the 28mm speakers that we use, the 24mm speakers, they have the terminals on each side, like at the 12 and 6 o'clock position. On this speaker, both terminals are kicked off to one side. So I did have to make space for that in the model, right? So that's why there's this indentation here, okay? All of my leads come up into the board section to wire up. I did also add some tactile switches on the outside of this hilt. That way it can be used. The Proffie board can be navigated while it is outside of the hilt. You can take advantage of that OLED and get a look at it when it is outside of the hilt, right? Speaking of the OLED, this is where the OLED sits. It is inside like a little frame on the inside of the chassis, okay? And then up here, because I had so much space, I did add some other brass greeblies, right? So these kind of hug that chassis and they are epoxied into place. This channel here is for a twist lock mechanism, right? So I've done a previous install on one of these hilts that utilizes twist lock to lock the chassis, lock the chassis in place. The customer for this order wanted that. It was one of the specific requests that they wanted for this hilt, right? So that is what that channel is, all right? There is a set screw on the inside of the hilt that will travel along this channel, and as you twist the chassis, it will lock it into place, all right? Around here, there is a very thin O-ring, all right? And that is what helps to press that chassis up into that twist lock mechanism. It just helps to give it a more secure connection, right? And just to kind of keep it nice and tight, right? So that's it. Oh, and of course, so I do have some greeblies up top here, and I have some rectangular LEDs, blue and red. Try to fill every inch of real estate with something, as I usually do, right? Well, that's it. Let's come up top. All right, so here it is. This is the Graflex kit from the Saber Armory, or KR Sabers. Again, just an absolutely phenomenal specimen of a Graflex hilt. If you are looking for an accurate Graflex that is also easily installable, this is the one for you, right? This is an Empire Strikes Back configuration. All right, it's just a great, well-made hilt. Here's the chassis, right? So all of the parts for this were in polished brass. I went back and weathered all of that with some brass black. All right, there are those tubes along each side of the chassis. Board cover is here. Let's go ahead and take that off. Okay, board cover, there's your Proffie board. Around back, here is our battery cover. All right, I'm going to leave that off as well because I'm about to put a battery in it. But that's it. You know, I just love doing these for Graflexes because there's just so much room to play around with. Okay, 31 millimeter speaker down there, nice and loud. So let's get a battery in this guy. Okay, so for this configuration, the negative battery terminal is down towards the speaker. So you want to take the negative side of your battery, the flat part of your battery. This will take a button top protected 18650 battery. Okay, so you want to take that negative side of your battery, put it down in the chassis. So this was already on. There is that OLED that is on. We've got our 2 rectangular LEDs. Proffie board on that. Okay, there's that OLED animating. Both of these buttons on the side will work. Okay. So once you get your battery in, go ahead and put your battery cover on, put your board cover on, okay, and then you can put it in the hilt. So let's talk about how to put this guy in the hilt. I'm going to unlatch my clamp card here. So you want to put the hilt, put the chassis in the hilt. You want to find where that set screw is. The set screw is right here, pointed up towards this upper red button. Well, there's 2 red buttons, so it's pointed up this way, right? So you want to kind of feel where that set screw is. Push the chassis in the hilt. Now you're going to twist it towards you, okay, until it stops, right? So now that chassis is in the hilt, ready to go. Okay, so once you have your chassis in, you can put your grip on, and you're ready to go. All right, emitter is lit, and you are ready to go. Let's come down to the bottom. Okay, so I personally, I am a huge fan of Luke's Graflex. I prefer the New Hope version. I love the look of this hilt. I love the fact that Roger Christensen made it from found parts. Like, that's what I love about all of the original trilogy hilts, right? There is something just so tactile and utilitarian about these. I love that you have to unclamp or unlatch something to take the grip off. However, with all of that said, it is the most uncomfortable hilt to hold. I mean, it's just, it's huge, it's thick, you know, it's just not a very comfortable hilt to hold, right? Unfortunately, but that's fine. I still love the look of them, right? So let's put a blade in it. So this will take a 1-inch blade. Now, one of the things that I noticed about this hilt from Saber Armory is there's not a set screw. I don't see a set screw for blade retention. There is the quintessential flathead screw around front here, but that does not penetrate all of the way into the blade chamber, right? So you can't really use it for blade retention. I'm sure that you can purchase, you know, I'm forgetting what size screw this is. I probably should know off the top of my head. But you can get a longer screw here to use that for your blade retention if you want. But this will take a 1-inch blade, right? So here we're going to put it in our bunny ears. Another thing I love about this hilt, man, like, it's just, they still, you know, utilize the bunny ears that were present on that Graflex flash gun, right? I just like, it's just another, you know, quintessential look for Graflex, and we see that carried across other lightsaber designs, right? Putting bunny ears on the back here. Anyhow, you want to put your blade in, so it's resting on those PCB pins, and you are ready to go, right? So I'm not going to tighten this, obviously, but you're ready to go. Yeah, it's just not not the most comfortable hilt to swing around, just because it's so, you know, bulky, right? Still a beautiful hilt. Okay. Let's see what else we put on here. So I have set this up to have that slide button as your main. The back red button is your aux.
That lightsaber was Luke's.
I don't recall what I have the speaker volume set to in the config, but I'm sure that you can really push these 31 millimeter speakers, right? Okay, let's do one more.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Blade stays in pretty well without a set screw, but you really probably want to have a set screw if you're going to be clashing this a lot. But anyhow, that is the Graflex from KR Sabers, or the Saber Armory. I'm going to go ahead and take this chassis out. Now, when taking the chassis out, remember, you want to kind of push it up a little bit and twist away from you to, to loosen that twist lock mechanism. But there's the chassis. Hopefully this is focusing. And there's that OLED lit or on. But that's it, right? So to the customer, thank you very much for your patience. This was a little bit of a long project. Thank you for your patience. If anyone is interested in this particular chassis, I have listed it on my website as a kit if anyone wants it. I will be having a crystal reveal chassis dropping soon. I'm still waiting for those parts to be delivered. That will be installed in another Graflex from the Saber Armory. So if anyone is interested in that, stick around. I will be showing it soon. Anyhow, if anyone has any questions about this particular installer or anything really, please do not be a stranger. And with that being said, may the force be with you always. Thanks for watching, everybody.